The Vatican says U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance met briefly with Pope Francis on this Easter Sunday. Catholic convert Vance had been hoping for an audience with the pontiff since he arrived in Rome earlier this week. This despite clashing with Pope Francis in the past over Donald Trump's deportations of migrants en masse. Our correspondent Seema Gupta has more on that from Rome.
Well, it was very clear that it was a prayer for peace. He essentially also highlighted the situation of the vulnerable and the marginalised around the world. Now, that's really been his message throughout his pontificate. And he essentially started off by decrying violence and wars around the world, the contempt that has been expressed towards the vulnerable, the marginalised, and migrants in particular, he highlighted. We heard in that soundbite earlier that he talked about the situation in the Middle East, calling for a ceasefire, a release of hostages and help for those that are starving. And he also highlighted the situation for Christians throughout the Middle East and those who are dealing with a new situation in Syria. He mentioned Yemen in particular, and he highlighted the violence in Ukraine, calling for all those involved to pursue their efforts towards a just and lasting peace for the country. He also talked about the African continent, highlighting the situation in Sudan, South Sudan, as well as the Congo, and in Asia, talking about the suffering of those in Myanmar, dealing with armed conflict and also dealing with earthquakes. So it was really a typical message of the Urbi et Orbi, delivered by an aide, but still the message of the pontiff, the 88-year-old pontiff, who is still under doctor's orders to rest and recuperate, but we saw him there at the balcony. He delivered the blessing after, and then much to the surprise of the tens of thousands of people gathered at St. Peter's Square, he also went on that Pope mobile and drove through the crowd, even all the way down Via Conciliazione, which leads towards St. Peter's Square. So really a highlight for those gathered. He even stopped to bless a couple of babies along the way. So definitely quite moving for a lot of people, considering that less than a month ago, he was discharged from hospital after dealing with double pneumonia, on which there were at least 2 occasions, according to doctors, that he risked dying. So really important to the Pope to be close to the faithful. That's something he's always stressed on, and we saw that today at St. Peter's Square.